Welcome, everyone, to this very special live recording of Humans of Fintech, a podcast where we get very real about the stories of people who are building the future of finance. I'm your host, Nicole Casperson, and tonight we are celebrating women reshaping the accounting, fintech, and financial services worlds, and we're going deep on leadership, ambition, and how we keep the human in finance as technology transforms everything. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited about tonight's guests. First up, we have Nina Chmura. Nina is a partner at Withum and leads their Outsourced Accounting Systems and Solutions practice, or OASyS, which she built from the ground up. Earlier, I was talking to some of your colleagues, and apparently there was like a Hawaiian shirt theme involved at some point in this OASyS. So, okay. And we'll see if we get to that. Nina calls this her scrappy startup within a big firm. With over 20 years of experience in accounting and auditing, Nina has made a career of taking bold leaps and turning them into growth for herself, her team, and her clients. Mm-hmm. And joining us as our special guest co-host, a dear friend and amazing community member of the Fintech FM ecosystem, Amanda Estiverne-Colas. Amanda is a board member at the National Alliance for Financial Literacy and Inclusion. She's a sought-after fintech strategist and someone who has spent 2 decades championing innovation, inclusion, and access in financial services. So I've got 2 powerhouse women on one stage, on one podcast at the same time. Who is hyped and ready to hear from both of them? Go. I know, this could be like SNL, like eventually I should have someone being like, applaud. That's like what Christine should be doing, applaud. Anyways, all right, so before we dive in, I do want a show of hands. How many of you have ever made a major pivot in your career?
Oh,
okay. Yes. I'm like, girl, there is video. Okay. Okay, so now keep them up. I want you to keep them up.
Okay.
If that pivot or move felt terrifying in the moment.
Yes.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So now I want you to look around. All right, look around. You're clearly not alone, right? And that is exactly what tonight is about, right? It's about the inflection points, the pivots, and the courage it takes to build something meaningful, which we all are doing and working on. So Nina, let's start with where you are now. In your own words, why does this work that you do with Withum still excite you?
Well, it changes every day, which makes it truly exciting. But the essence of why the group started and where we came from was to help our clients and to help our clients in real time understand the financials that they have and the decisions that they can make. What has kept me here and has kept me so excited about it is the team around me and being able to build a team around me that has been so amazing, filled with amazing men, women, all over the world that I've been able to watch grow and succeed in this space.
Yeah. I mean, and talking about pivots, so when we were prepping for the show, you were telling me about how you were really on track to make partner at some point and then really completely pivoted into building something new. Can you take us back to that moment? Like what sparked that decision?
Sure. So I had come up in Withum through the typical auditor route, and I was at that point where I was close to making partner. And I went to a few conferences and heard a little bit more about client accounting services and what it was doing and how technology was enabling us to do it in a way that we never could before. And I really thought about my career at that point and said, this seems so exciting to me. I always wanted to be the true trusted advisor to my clients that I saw all my mentors be a part of. And it felt very far in auditing, of coming in late, seeing what the financials were in and trying to find issues or concerns about them. Just didn't feel like me. And I remember thinking maybe I could do this, and sitting on a plane and writing all the things I thought I was good at, all of the things I thought I was bad at, and the pros and cons, and said, wow, this really feels like home, and I don't even know what it is yet. I went to the firm leadership and said, hey, there's this thing out there they're talking about in all of the AICPA conferences and all of the places that we go. I would really love to get a crack at it, knowing that it could completely stumble my career, could slow down my growth. And I've always been very ambitious. I always wanted to get to the next step, but it felt like something that if I didn't do it, I was always going to feel like, why hadn't I? That there was just this chance to be so much more impactful in a way that I felt good about, that even if it didn't succeed, it was worth the shot. And that let me get past the terrifying spot of saying, hey, I want to put my hand up and start this group.
Ooh, that's powerful, right? To say, like, I don't care if it works out or not. Like, I want to take this shot. Otherwise, I might, we don't want to live with regrets, if you will, right?
Yes. And I love the part, Nina, when you say that you're following your excitement, because sometimes that's scary too, right? Like we just talked about taking risks, and that feeling could be like, okay, is that a nervous feeling? Should I really follow that? And you didn't necessarily question yourself. You actually trusted yourself to like take a chance and try something new.
I was very lucky to have a very set of supportive partners that understood and pushed me to it as well. I think if there had been more hesitance, maybe I wouldn't have made the chance, but I wouldn't have taken the chance rather. But between their support and my family's support saying, hey, go for it, it felt right.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And you have said that you wanted to do work that you loved and make an impact. Tell us like a story of the moment in your career that really like lit that fire for you. Was it at that conference? Was it on the airplane? Was it when you're writing your pros and cons of yourself? That's funny too.
There have been a lot of moments, but I can tell you kind of where it was born was in watching the people around me impact the businesses of their clients, and knowing that I came into accounting as someone that didn't know a whole lot about what I wanted to do, and heard accounting was something that every single business needed. So it was kind of like the non-choice. And coming from a family that was business owners, it just felt like if someone gave us the guidance, if someone cared about us as much as I cared about my clients, it would feel so good to me. It would feel like I was impacting them and supporting them in a way that was beyond myself. It wasn't so much about my profitability and my ambition, but it was about watching them reach their full ambition. And that's what's continued to light that spark.
Yeah, that's really beautiful, Nina. No wonder you're being honored here today. Okay, so Amanda, you've also navigated a lot of big shifts. She's sighing before my question. Okay, from traditional banking to fintech to financial inclusion, leadership, what was one of your big inflection point moments?
See, yeah, I'm totally inspired by Nina's story because I think we've all kind of hit that road or like hit that like season within our careers where we're kind of questioning, are we making an impact in the work that we're producing? And I kind of hit that road like last year where I actually ended up leaving my company. I was pretty burnt out. I was traveling a lot. I was managing quite a few high-profile clients, and it was just at a turning point where I just said, you know what? There was a lot of restructuring. I said, I'm going to take the package and take a break and hang out with my kids. I have two preteens, and I said, you know what? I'm going to spend time with them, spend the summer with them. I'm a global speaker, and I think Nicole mentioned that before, and I've been doing quite a few speaking engagements. And NAFLE, so National Alliance for Financial Literacy and Inclusion, approached me with an idea of being a board member. They were looking for someone who had influence within the industry and someone who can ignite the passions that they were putting out with a lot of the financial institutions and working with fintech leaders. And I said, this sounds like something up my alley. I've been someone who's always had a voice within the industry, always supported and encouraged, like being a diversity champion. And I'm like, wow, this might be the transition for me where it bridges the business and consumer advocacy. And I said, you know what? I think I want to try this out. And it's been an amazing year where we've been working with tons of financial institutions and being able to have these progressive conversations and, literally crash the party and like really ask financial institutions to really focus on this part of what they provide their consumers. And it's been like really exciting, Nina. It's been like that passion that like I felt that, like when you mentioned that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I love this conversation generally, right? I feel like, especially as women, it's important for us to talk about these moments where you decide to rewrite your own rules, right? To me, that is something that both of your stories really show us, is that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is rewrite the rules for yourself and say, hey, you know what, I'm on this like linear path, but it's just not lighting the fire in me. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to pivot and to do something else and create a whole life. Like, you create the life for yourself that you ultimately want. And I think that that's something that both of your stories really do show us and is so amazing. Nina, you call OASyS a scrappy startup. What's been the hardest part of building a team inside a 2,500 person firm?
Oh, there's been so many challenges.
SOW.
So many benefits, but so many challenges. I think the hardest thing has always been the single thing that has made us the most successful has also been the hardest thing. Our team has gotten so much of the success that we have because I have been around Withum a long time, and I had made impressions in partners that have been with the firm for a long time, and that I was going to do the right thing. I was going to take the relationships that they had and they referred to me, and I was going to, it didn't matter if I knew how to do it or not, I was going to figure it out and get the right people in the room to get it done so that we could provide a product to our clients that made them happy and that made them content. And that brought a lot of support from my partner group that has helped us really grow in ways I could have never imagined. But it is also the most difficult thing. Telling the partners that don't understand what we do has also been very difficult. So making sure that we're constantly beating the drum around what value client accounting services can bring and how we can impact our clients in a passionate way and in a way that is going to make them sticky and happy and wanting to be with us has been a real challenge.
Yeah. What is like the comms like? Like, what is your line where you're just like, this is worth it?
It's about the relationship. Mm-hmm. We go back to businesses and how complex they are, and at the end of the day, it's all the humans around them that make a difference, and it's the connections we make in this room that make it impactful. Mm-hmm. So I think with every person, it's a little bit different, but it is all about the fact that we are going to respect that relationship and meet you where you are and build what you need in order to provide something better than what you have today. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Largely, it's been an inspiration for me and even just this show, right? Like, Humans of Fintech is really about me showcasing that there are very much human elements and EQ and people right behind every number, every Excel sheet, every job posting. Like, just, I think accountant in and of itself can have like some weird, like, antiquated, stigmas, if you will, or whatever it is. But I don't know. I remember hopping on the call with Nina, and she started telling me her story on our prep call. And the first thing I thought to myself was like, this is not your average accountant.
She's a super accountant.
I know. She's a super accountant. Right. Ben Affleck ain't got shit. You know? You were saying.
Our profession is filled with them. Our profession is filled with amazing people that do amazing things every single day and break that stereotype.
Yeah. No, I know.
Thank you for that.
Yes. So I love what you said about kind of profitability came from focusing on relationships first. I think especially in today's society, it can be hard, right, to bring kind of those human first elements back into the business conversation. Can you kind of unpack that for us, like how you started to turn relationships into real business growth?
Sure. I think a little of it is what I have said of it building from the very first minute that I walked into Withum and became a staff there and was someone that people could rely upon. That's what really was the light bulb moment for me within OASyS, was all of that work that I did, the late nights, the getting things done by deadlines, built this relationship that was allowing me to then go back and say, hey, I want to do something new, and them trusting me to be able to do that. So I think that's where kind of the light had started. But at the end of the day, it's every prospect call I take when I think about people ask me all the time, what is your ideal client profile? And it's not about how much revenue you have or how long you've been around or what industry you're in. At the end of the day, our ideal clients are the ones that care about their financial results and want to make decisions based on metrics and KPIs and things that we can give them in a clean fashion on a monthly basis and annually. And that, at the end of the day, if we can make that connection for them and show it to them in a way that makes sense for their business, that's the relationship that we're building. That's the stickiness that keeps us all wanting to do better each day.
Mm-hmm. What's the saying that it's like culture eats strategy for breakfast or something like that?
Yeah, it
right?
sounds about right.
Right? Anyway, I don't know who said that.
You just made that up.
Yeah, that quote. Yeah. If I just say, that quote that someone said, and then I just say it, it gets taken more seriously. I know. And so, okay, so Amanda, actually, you have advised companies, right, on building inclusive, resilient teams. Speaking of culture, what is one thing that you wish more leaders understood about creating that sticky culture that lasts that Nina's talking about?
Yeah, no, I love what Nina's talking about. And it sounds like this concept of personalization. And, it's funny, I think in one of the messages to Nina, they mentioned how Nina was an empathetic leader. And I really paid attention to that because I do think that leading with empathy is the secret sauce in terms of really leading ambitious, moving teams, right? Being able to understand your team's dynamic and understand their profile to place them where they can be the most successful, I think is super, super important. And, I just thought about that, the message that was given for you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is the secret sauce. That's probably why you lead very successful teams. And that's, what I try to embody in my leadership is just really being able to see everyone, because we all know being seen is really important. That's what moves people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nina, in the early days, how did you kind of start? So I'm a startup founder, learning my empathetic ways.
Yes.
And, right now I'm managing a small team. And so I'm just curious, in the early days, like, how did you kind of balance, like, the empathy with, needing to be very, like, results driven? Or maybe I should be thinking about the part where the empathy fuels the results, but, like, tangibly, like, how do you kind of go about that? Teach me.
I think
It's a good question.
Both of you, teach me.
it goes back to what Amanda said, that you get people on the right seats of the bus and they flourish. And I know that's an old business book theory, but it is so relevant. And hearing people and listening to them, to me, that's what the empathy part is. It's not just saying what you have to say, but hearing what someone says back to you and understanding their point of view. It leads you to be able to find that right seat. And I used to think when I first started the team that it was like serendipity, that it just happened, that the right person needed a job and they came and worked for me and we clicked and we were able to do it. And then the next person that had the right experience came and we were able to get on the right client. But looking back, it was really listening. It was hearing what someone had to say and saying, this is how you can fit in and this is how you can do better. And watching them succeed in that spot has truly been the most amazing part of my career, hands down. I thought it was going to be all of the client interactions. I thought it was going to be the big decisions. It's not. It's watching that person that has 2 years of experience get promoted and rise to the occasion. It's watching someone that you knew could always do it, make partner. It is all of those things every day, hands down.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh my goodness.
Wow. I mean, thoughts? Who's crying? No.
It's coming.
All right, fine. So then, I mean, it may be empathy, but maybe it's something else. But for both of you, what is a leadership lesson that you've maybe had to learn the hard way?
Oh, okay. So the way I see this is this. Okay, it's okay. I'm gonna explain myself. No, I think this concept of self-made, like I've heard people say, hey, I'm self-made. I rose to the occasion on my own. And I'm like, oh no, that's not the way to do it, right? Maybe that fuels your ambition, but when you're working with others and you're working with a team, or you're trying to build influence and collaborate, that's really not the best way to lead, right? This concept of self-made. And so I think that's a little toxic, because it does, what you do is you operate on your own. You don't give folks chances to be able to be there for you. So I don't know, Nina, what's your thoughts? Like, I always thought about that.
I agree. Obviously, my team means the world to me. I think I've said that a few times. But it truly is the people around you, whether they're in your office, in your home, in your kids' school, whatever it is, that help lift you up and give you the opportunity to be self-made, if that's what you want to call it. I couldn't agree with you more that nothing comes alone. No. That it all comes with community, and being in the right community is so important for success.
Exactly. It's community. That's the word, because I don't think one can do everything on their own, right? There's mentors, there's sponsors, there's a team that's behind the machine. And so, it's just a battle between this concept, but I think it shouldn't be that way. It should be more community driven. Let's do this all together.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think in the media, right, there's like, a lot of the traditional media companies will leverage this self-made title in order to, frankly, it's all just like clicky bait, advertising things. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's why I'm so passionate about being in the media space, is that the narratives that we see online and are constantly in our faces and on the screen, and we see it in the movies and the whatever, like these are the things that end up fueling reality, is what we literally see, right? And you can't be what you can't see. That's what we see. So we need to see something completely different, right? We need to see more Ninas. We need to see more Amandas, right? We need to see more of the amazing people in this room in the spotlight, so that we can really just completely reframe, right? It's like all about the reframe. Like, how do I reframe this narrative of like self-made and us be a lot more passionate and uplifting about being community made, right? Because it's true. I mean, I feel the same way. I always feel like almost like just like a community-led media platform, because at the end of the day, it's like my community members are the ones who are buying the ticket, right? Introducing me to the sponsor, right? Like, I mean, Christine from Row, who spoke before the podcast started recording. So the audience listening later might not understand who Christine from Row is, but anyways, you'll just look at my social media. But like, we met from her coming to our events and Fintech is Femme events, and just like running in the same circles. And like, this is, to me, a community is all about sharing resources. That's what a community is about. It's not a Slack channel. It's like not a LinkedIn post. It's not one podcast, right? It's like the constant momentum of showing up for each other and then being willing to exchange and give, and it just the ebb and flow feel very natural. And so I feel like that's something, Nina, you've mastered, like, as a leader. I don't know, all those people said a lot of nice stuff about you.
Exactly. That's what I heard.
We talk about. Oh wait, of course you say this. So empathetic. Always a work in progress. No, but of course we all are work in progresses. Yes. But we have decided, all three of us together.
Yep.
And then Christine sidebar on this podcast together have decided that we are boycotting self-made, and unless it's something you have to tell yourself to motivate you. Yes. And we are green-lighting community-made.
Yes.
Love it.
Love it.
I know. Put that on a headline, somebody.
Right,
yeah. Okay. I love it. All right. So I want to, for the next few minutes of our conversation, I do want to pivot to thinking a little bit about the future. This is Humans of Fintech, so we do talk about technology a bit. So, Nina, we obviously can't leave the show without talking about tech. I'm going to say everyone's favorite word of the year. It is AI. Winning! Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, that would have went one way or another, and it went the way I wanted. Okay, great. I love my audience. Okay, so everyone's obviously buzzing about AI in accounting, in wealth management, whatever it is. But you have said that real change is actually about keeping the human and empathy in finance. So what do you mean by that?
Sure. So I'm super excited about AI. I think it can take a lot of the mundane tasks that we do and help us do our jobs better and have less errors and less time on the stuff that doesn't matter so much. But do I think it's going to take anything away from the value that we bring? Never. I think the value is in the connection. I talked a little bit before about an ideal client profile, but the other thing that I'm told all the time on prospect calls is, I have a very simple business. It's not going to take a lot to do the accounting here. And I want to automate everything and use AI and do all of those things. And at the end of the day, yes, we want to be as efficient as possible, use all the tools that we can. And without the technology advances that we've had over the last 10 years, we wouldn't have the group that I have today, because it was all the cloud-based stuff that got us here. But at the same time, no business is ever simple, because every business is run by humans, is selling humans, is, whatever you are however the impact you're making, you are in the human business, and humans are complicated. And at the end of the day, the connection that you make between them, the value that you see, the way that you can speak to them that they can really hear, is what brings that connection. And I don't think AI can take that away.
Agreed. Yeah, I totally agree. I think AI is helping with personalization so that we understand the humans behind the problem statements that we're solving. That doesn't mean that we're replacing the human necessarily, right? So I totally think, I agree with you, Nina, on that. Yeah.
Yeah. How do I make you guys not agree on something? Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. We're also in sync. But I do want to repeat what you just said, Nina, because it's so important. There's no such thing as a simple business, because businesses are run by people, and people are complicated. Yeah. I think that element is so important. As a reporter covering the financial services space for like the last decade, and it is often a bit hilarious to me how much we're talking about AI now, because it's literally been a part of all of our professions for quite some time. Yeah. So we all must laugh together in its buzz trendiness, trend line, if you will. But I agree in terms of, it really makes me think about like the behavioral finance element of the work that we all do, and especially on the accounting side. I mean, right, you're talking about working with people. You really are you're dealing with a lot of mentality, right? Like any accountant or anyone in this room, I know, like my accountant, her name's Holly. I'm like, oh no, she's gonna know everything. Like it's like, I'm like, she's gonna see everything. Is that not the case? Like, and so you're really dealing with a lot of behavior. You're dealing with a lot of emotion. And that's something that AI is not ever really going to be able. I don't care how good your chatbot is. It's like, it ain't cutting it, right? It's not cutting the part where I'm scared or nervous or freaking out, and I don't want an AI. I want a human. To talk to. But I'm, just curious about kind of your thoughts on maybe the bigger opportunities for the technology to actually deepen the human connection for both of you, right? Rather than this replacement. Like, are you having like internal conversations about AI, especially as like a team leader and with your CEO and all the lovely people that said wonderful things about you? But like, are you like, you guys like behind the scenes being like, what are we gonna do? Like, what is it like?
It's amazing, because all of our tech partners are adding AI to their platforms. And what we're trying to focus on is, how do we make that part of what we do in a beneficial way to both our clients and to ourselves. For ourselves, it's getting us out of the mundane and getting us into the interesting. For our clients, it's maybe making it a little bit less expensive to get that higher level advice, because you don't need to do so much on the back end, right? You don't need to post every transaction, right? I remember when my mom was doing the bookkeeping for our business, and it was on pieces of paper, and it was, putting the numbers in the right columns, right? And now we got to Excel spreadsheets, and then we got to QuickBooks and other ERP systems that can help us do that. And now we're getting to AI, where they can do it once for us before we have to even look at it. And that's amazing because it frees up so much time and it allows us to see the good. It allows us to see the stuff that makes you nervous and make a decision on it, or the stuff that makes you want to celebrate and celebrate that in real time, as opposed to waiting a month for something to close or a year for a financial to get done.
You're making me think that like AI might actually be able to enable us to reframe and rework a lot of the narratives around money in our heads, right? Like even me just being like, oh no, my accountant's gonna see everything, I'm so scared. Like having that mental, right, is that can be really relieved, to your point of how do I leverage like the advancement of this technology as an accountant, as someone working with these businesses and clients to actually enable them to know what their next best action is, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all just like the fear of not knowing in a way.
Right.
Right?
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. You know, the way I see it is, you know, I think a lot of these tools, like everything that's going on with AI, is just releasing the strategic mindset that we as humans have, right? AI tool, ChatGPT does not necessarily have that, right? It's data in, data out. And so it's allowing us to be productive in a more unique way where we get a chance to solve better problems or assess, like I mentioned, the whole personalization piece, right? Being able to understand your client, like having that time to understand your client, do the research, really get to know or building out the strategy. And so, you know, I think we are going, right now we're in a transformation with AI, which could be a little scary, right? Transformations, growth, that's scary.
Changes
right?
are scary.
Change is scary. But, you know, there's the other side of it is, you know, can be success. And all we need to do is really just adapt to the system, educate ourselves, and be able to equip ourselves for the future. And possibly this may change the way we work, and we're already seeing it. So it's we have to be kind of open to that, essentially.
For sure. And my wish is that it allows more people to understand more about finance and empower them to make better decisions.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's
Agreed.
really well said, both of you, and awesome, especially like Amanda, that last bit, very, very good. I look forward to that podcast clip. It will sound great. Thank you. Alrighty, so last question for both of you, and if you have any questions for either of our lovely guests here, feel free to raise your hand if you wanted to ask anything. So think about it now. But for me, my last question for both of you is that if there's one thing you hope everyone in this room walks away from tonight, what is it?
We covered so much.
I know. I'm like,
I know, I blazed through that.
there's so much.
I
going
hope
on.
that everyone leaves thinking about the power of connection and how what they do impacts all of the people around them. And that can either be positive or negative, and you get to choose every single day. So try and build the connections and be that positive force in someone else's life.
You know,
Really beautiful. No pressure, Amanda.
I know. Wait a minute. You know,
You're
said what I
amazing.
said.
You got this.
I know. No, I am conflicted because, you know, I think about how representation is important, right? We see a Nina here, and there's future Ninas out here in the crowd that can eventually be here. And I love Nina's story. I keep going back to the, you know, the little feeling that you had, the excitement when you left the event and you had this idea. And I'm like, I'm hoping that the crowd kind of listens to that. Can you follow that excitement, that time, that one time that you feel that, follow it, and then leverage your community to give you confidence to push forward and make it happen.
Wow.
That's what I was thinking. Nina, you did this.
That was incredible.
And then you bottled it up into a little package and gave it away. That was nice.
Because this is beautiful. Like, this whole event is so special and it's so necessary, especially in this environment where we can be feeling pressures around technology and feeling replaced, or feeling pressures where we're maybe not getting the job done as fast enough or we're not enjoying what we're doing. it's really important for us to listen to each other's stories. That's why representation to me is important. To be able to encourage us to continue to push on. I don't know. That's what I was thinking.
I
Love it.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what happened tonight.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Well, and I mean, to your point, right? It's it's what's so exciting about doing events like these and partnering with amazing folks like Ro and of course having amazing women like Nina from Withum on. And of course Amanda, which everyone already loves you. So, but anyway, and everyone already knows who you are. But is for that. It's the same. You know, for me, I like had to go physically and see and interview and meet all of these incredible women to know, like, wow, this is enough for a whole publication. This is enough for me to quit my job and like start a whole new brand of media content design for women in finance, right? Like to be able to, and that happened because, right, I saw that one woman on stage share her real thoughts. I met that person at that event who I kind of would spitball the idea to, and they're like, that is a good idea, right? Like that to me is how to take it, the tactical aspects of what you just shared and using your community to enable you to follow the fire. Just start like planting the seeds, right? If like there's something that you've been wanting to do, you need to like live out in your full truth, right? And like in your full vision of what you want your life to look like. And there can be like that one connection, that one spark that happens at an event, but to the point, like bottle that up and like see it through. Yeah. It's worth seeing it through. Sure. As we've all shared. What other secrets should we share? Anyways, alrighty. Oh my gosh, we have a question.
Oh. My question is for someone who's picking their major and they've had an interest in accounting and maybe something else, but they're getting very mixed views about joining the industry today. What advice do you have for them?
I'm going to circle back to what we've been talking about and say build a community and find the one that fits you best. Yeah. It may be accounting, it may be finance, it may be international business, maybe it's economics. You'll know when you're there. You'll know when you've learned it and it clicks and it feels like something you don't want to stop learning. And there's no real clear answer to that. I mean, I think I'm taking the easy way out a little bit, but I also think, you've got to learn a little bit of it to know if it's something that's going to move you and to listen to that gut, like you said.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I started as an accounting intern and I am now in fintech. I am, focused on financial inclusion. And, it's like Nina said, you have to kind of test and learn and see where is your spark, where you're naturally gifted. And sometimes that means you kind of have to try things out. And sometimes that means you have to fail a little bit. And it's okay. It's okay. Yep. I do think that technology is going to change things a bit. But I think it's for the good. And I do think it's just like Nina said, we have to lean on our community for learnings and understanding, providing roadmaps and really understanding what's the path. I am hearing that like young people are utilizing ChatGPT for career advice.
I'm sure.
And that scares me.
Talk to a human, please.
Right, talk to a human, please. I'm here. But I do think, the world, there's possibilities. Your major's one thing, and then, you step out in the world and you do something totally different. And that's okay, because I do think that sometimes setting that foundation is important. Accounting was my foundation. Look where I'm at.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Right, and being willing to just see where the path takes you.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, try it.
I love it. Oh, we have a question in the back.
Yes, fun.
Wow.
Hi, so as a mother and just as a woman who usually kind of ends up being the default caretaker for families and thinking about future generations and the impact of AI on the environment, how do you, I know I've been torn, having to speak louder and to use AI more, but also thinking about the environmental aspects of how the earth is hurting for the more AI we use. how has that impacted you in your decisions or like?
Like a lot of conflicting things.
Yeah, it's very conflicting for me, and I feel like my brain is just
Yeah.
spasming. So.
All right, moms.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not there yet. Moms.
I know. Well, I have quite a few thoughts, and I am doing a lot of research on the sustainability aspect of AI because that is becoming a hot topic. In fact, there's an upcoming event coming up. I think Nicole.
It is. It's called the Emerald Climate FinTech Summit.
Thank you so much. Right? Ooh,
Thank you, Amanda.
Good segue.
It's happening September 19th in New York City.
Yeah, because I do think it's a really important conversation on the global impact of technology, and I, like I said, I have so many thoughts. I haven't assessed what that is, but we are all learning together, and it's important for us to start having the conversation and doing the research, and really opening it up to just for discussion. Actually, what's your thoughts?
I think it's like all things, particularly with parenting, it's moderation, right? You can't use AI to do every English homework or every history assignment, but you can use it to help enhance your idea flow. And maybe that piece of it is enough to make it not such an impact environmentally, but to allow you to connect in a way that's going to help you build something better with it. And I think that's important. I think you go back to all the rise of social media and things like that. I like to look at the bright side. I am an optimist. I think that being able to see where people go and more of the planet helps people understand how important the environment is in ways that they couldn't understand before. So maybe there's some value in AI where, yes, it does cost a lot on the environment, but maybe it's opening people's eyes to different places in the world that they want to save, that they want to help support in a different way.
Nina, I think you should speak on stages for a living.
I know, right? Nina.
Okay.
Hair and makeup was
You're like sold.
I'm not so sure.
But it looks good on you, girl. But to quickly pull, so I actually, to help as well, I actually do think you both said something very important in that, and to kind of bridge it, it's kind of like that Michelle Obama quote, like focus on your knitting. Like if you can just focus on the community in front of you, you focus on the tasks you have right here in hand, and then you're willing to do the research, you're willing to look like inward and see the positivity of it all. That's what starts to create more of that in the world, right? Like it truly is. It sounds woo-woo, but it is so true. Like even as like an entrepreneur experiencing it all myself, all the time, the more the more knowledge I have, the more power I have, the more I'm willing to be a voice ahead of things like AI, like climate fintech, like even freaking stable coins or crypto, and we don't have to go there. But like at the end of the day, right, like I founded Fintech is Femme because our society continues to see the same economic challenges and the same financial challenges because we need more women leading these conversations, right? Like Amanda sharing the part where she's still researching. That's amazing. We don't have to know all the answers. I know we want them and we want to go up there and have all the answers, but the best thing is that we don't, right? The best thing is that we're out there just saying that we're looking and that we're willing to be the leaders of that conversation, and then putting your voice out there, because then that enables the next person to see it, and then the next person and the next person. So yeah, like, and it's how someone like me exists. Like that's what I think you've really like resonates with me, is just that element of like focus on your community at hand. That's like making the people around you have the best life and experience and environment possible means the climate gets better, right? It means the polar bears have a home. It means, that's what that means, is when you focus on that. And so I love it. It's really beautiful. Any other questions? These were all so amazing. Yeah. All right. I think we are ready to wrap. That is good. Thank you, Nina. And thank you, Amanda, and thank you to Ro and Christine and all of you for joining us for this live recording of Humans of Fintech. You can catch this full conversation soon on the podcast feed. We are everywhere you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, YouTube, you name it. And don't forget to stick around and keep the conversation going over some drinks. And once again, just here's to building a future of finance that's ambitious, human, and actually works for people. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Humans of Fintech. If you loved it, be sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you next time.